So once you figure out your hotspot, the question is, how do you sell to them? And the important thing here is that early stage startups can only do one go-to-market model. You can experiment with a couple, but in order to unlock growth, you get one. It's just too hard for an early stage startup trying to win customers to do multiple go-to-markets. Just can't do it. So the question is, what are the choices and how do you choose? So there's a spectrum. On the left is sort of full touch, heavy sales model where you're doing a lot of direct touch to customers. We call that sales led. That was Mobile Iron, actually. Marketing did a little bit of lead generation, sales kicked in and took over most of the playbook. In the middle, you have sort of a medium touch or low touch where marketing does the front end of the go-to-market motion and then like inside sales takes over and closes the deal. That's more like Marketo. And then you have the far right, which is zero touch, which is like Atlassian or Twilio or SendGrid, where literally customers just buy themselves and they don't have any salespeople. I'll tell you on the right is in vogue right now. Like venture capitalists love that to the right because you don't have to spend any money on sales and marketing. So you're going to get pressure to say, go do that. That may or may not be the right answer for you and your product. If it's the wrong answer, you're actually killing your company. So the important message here is pick the right model for you. Now, I have two sort of pieces of advice here in terms of how to think about where to land on this spectrum. The first one is there's a lot of good literature out there on sort of picking sales models. There's a great blog post by Mark Leslie called Leslie's Compass. So if you just read that, it's a great sort of treatise on the different options. The second point of advice here is if you sort of distill all the way down to the bottom, like what's the nugget, what's the punchline of how this works? My theory on this is it actually comes down to one thing, which is how does the customer decide to buy? How does the customer decide to buy? If you've got a product where the buyer and decider are the same person, and you can reach them through digital marketing, and the product's a well-understood product, guess what? You can do product-led zero-touch sales. Buyer, decider, same person, reach through digital marketing. Everybody understands what the product is. It's easy to get them to decide. Now contrast that to you're going to be selling a new type of infrastructure to speed up storage to Fortune 500 companies. Is the buyer and decider the same person, reach them through digital marketing, and they're going to buy on a credit card? Probably not. How many people do you think are involved in that decision? Probably 20. So interestingly, sales' core job in many ways is actually coordinating the buying decision on the customer's part. So if there's a single person and they could buy and decide themselves, you're on the right. If you got a committee, you're on the left. In the middle is interesting, which is if the buyer is one person but the decider sits right next to them, that's where you can do marketing-led, and then sales sort of helps close it. Like that's why that worked for Marketo, because the buyer was the chief marketing officer who said, I want this, and went to the CEO and said, can I buy this? They said, yes, right next to each other. So figure out where you are on that spectrum. You can experiment, but at the end of the day, you got to pick one.